Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Friday, December 27th. We're here, we're breaking it down. We have a nice little slate to go over today. I am your host, Tyler Wiemann at FlatTyler83 on your DFS sites and on Twitter. Now come join us at LineStar. Great opportunity to try us for free through the app stores, Android or iOS app store. You can get 7 free days. Then it goes to $39.99 per month, which is a steal, best deal in the business. Gets you access to all of our props, all of our DFS for both the website and apps for all sports we cover. Now let's get into it. Let's pull up this old slate we got today. We got 8 games on both sites. Neither site cutting out the late games tonight. So let's dive in position by position as we always do. We got James Harden, 8,900, 22% owned. I definitely am going to have some Harden. He is versus the Warriors. Dude, it's been him and the Powell show all year, and we still have a few more games of that as Leonard is still going to be out for 3 or 4 more games. He's had a decent history versus the Warriors, and I'm sure he's going to be able to get his in this spot. I'm going to have plenty of Harden. I think he should be chalky, and I will be there with everybody. Shake Milton, 4,300. So Cam Thomas, I believe, is still questionable. He's been sitting out, so I'd be surprised if he is back today, but that would change this. Zaire Williams is out. Ben Simmons is out. With Ben Simmons out, who's been playing the point guard, expectation is that Shake gets some more minutes. We have him at 28. A lot of places have him right around that as well. And look, the guy has produced whenever he's got a chance, really. He's done well in limited minutes this year. When he's got bigger minutes, he's put up 30s, and so I'm absolutely fine taking some Shake. I'm going to have a decent amount. Ja Morant, 8,800, 19% owned versus the Pelicans here. Pelicans haven't been great versus the starting point guard this season, so it makes some sense to go to Ja. I will have a little bit, but I'm not going super hard with him. He's fine. That's just all I have to say about it. Dennis Schroeder, 5,700. There is no Steph Curry tonight. So expectation is Schroeder to start at the point guard spot, which that is more natural for him than starting at the 2 guard, which he kind of does with Steph, and Steph just controls the ball. With that, his usage goes way lower. Now, usage should come back up a little bit. He's generally around 0.9 or 1 fantasy point per minute player. I expect that to come back a little bit. However, it's a tough spot versus the Clippers. I'm going to have some, not going super hard on him, but definitely am going to have probably slightly over 15%. Darius Garland, 73% or 7.3K. We got a good game here versus the Nuggets, and it's a game that, the Nuggets in Denver are pretty solid and can definitely keep up with the Cavs. Cavs still likely win the game because they have been beasts all season long, but Denver is much better at home. They, however, aren't great versus point guards, and I like this matchup for Darius Garland. He's been very consistent around that 40. And we've seen some, upper 40s, even 50-point scores from him this year. Wouldn't be that surprised if this is a spot he can get into those mid to upper 40s. Fred VanVleet, 7,200. So his price right in that low 7Ks. It's a nice spot for him. I do have one little worry, though. The last 2 games without Dillon Brooks, his minutes are down. So there's a little bit of a cause for concern there. However, it doesn't make total sense to me that his minutes would be down in these spots. So I still got him for, big time minutes. And with that, I am getting a good share of him. His price is right. He has a huge ceiling. He's versus Minnesota, who really hasn't been the best team lately. And I don't mind taking some very, very low owned Fred VanVleet when he has that type of ceiling. Getting over to point guard on DraftKings, we got Brandon Podimski, 4K, 35% owned. All right, 4K is too cheap. He is still playing, 24, 26 minutes off the bench. Now no Curry. He likely gets into 27-ish, maybe starts at the 2 guard. I don't mind taking some Podimski at 4K. Without a doubt, that is too cheap. Chris Dunn, 3,800. That's also too cheap. He's playing too many minutes and can consistently pay off, that 5-6x salary here. My only worry for him is it's just not that likely for him to get to, say, 8-9x, 10x, something like that, which really lets you win a GPP. But 3,800 is, in fact, too cheap, and ownership was going to be there, but I don't mind being there a little bit. Also, 8,300, Kyrie Irving. The news here is no Luka, so it makes a lot of sense to want to go some Kyrie. 8,300 is a bit cheap for the outlook without Luka when he has the ball in his hand way more. I'm definitely in for some Kyrie there. Now, let's get back over to shooting guard on FanDuel. We got Bradley Beal, 31% owned. I love me some Bradley tonight. I've been on him ever since Booker was out, and I'm going to keep on him in this spot. Think it makes a lot of sense to go with some Bradley Beal. I've also bet his over threes. I bet his over points. Let's go for some Brad Beal. Devin Vassell, 5,500, 23% owned. Right now, I do have a decent amount of Vassell. So one of the things is on the season, he's right around, 1 fantasy point per minute. He's in a decent spot, but he does drop down a little bit in that starting lineup to 0.82 fantasy points per minute. Makes some sense. There's better players with him. Usage gets taken a little bit, but this guy can fill the basket, and he's in a good spot versus the Nets. So I'm willing to take some chances on him at 5,500. I think this Spurs team, I may have a decent amount of ownership going towards them today. Pivot-wise, Podimski at 4,900. I'm fine having a little bit. Not going to go super overboard. Dennis Schroeder, we talked about. Norm Powell, 7,100. Look, it is the Powell and Harden show. I've said that. I've gone back to him all year long, and he keeps producing. He has a big-time ceiling. I do have to say that I think his price is getting up there where I don't want too much of him, but with the ceiling that he has, I got to keep going back a little bit. And in a decent matchup versus the Warriors, I'm fine having some. I'm not going to go super hard on him. He's 14% owned is what we're showing. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm 18, 19, something like that. Slightly over the field, but not going super hard. Trevelyan Queen, he has played big minutes, both starts so far, 37 and 34. He's only at 0.76 fantasy points per minute, but if he's playing that type of minutes, I think he's still very interesting. We have him at 31.5. I have him right about the same. And at that price, I got to keep going there. He keeps, shooting. He's shooting decently. I'm fine to go against the Knicks, who don't let people score inside. You kind of got to shoot against them. If Queen's shot gets going, he could score decently. So definitely interested in him. Jalen Wells, 4,400. He keeps playing minutes. There's no Aldama tonight, no Marcus Smart, and I think there's a chance for him to pick up a couple extra minutes in that situation. On the season, he's playing 24.5. I could easily see him playing 27, 28 tonight. And at 4,400, in a very good matchup with Pelicans 30th versus small forward, I think there's a chance that he gets it going a little bit. Keon Johnson, 4,400. It's the same as Shake Milton, Guys are out, but he has been a starter. He's going to stay a starter. I do expect him to start at the shooting guard with Milton at the 1, but who knows how it breaks down. I am actually a little bit more into Johnson than I am Milton. I think there's a higher baseline here. I think The chance of him playing higher minutes is there. We know he's at least going to play decent minutes. He's been playing 29 the last week. Now more guys are out, so it wouldn't be that surprising if he gets up to 32, 34. And at 4,400, I mean, even though he's only at 0.73 fantasy point per minute, I am absolutely fine taking some if he's going to play that big of minutes in a spot where they're going to have to shoot. When Wemby is on the court, the Spurs have the highest average shot distance for their opponents. When he's off, they're at like the lowest. So there's a giant difference with Wemby on and off the court. The teams are going to need shooters. The ball's going to have to go in from deep for the Nets to have a chance. And Keon Johnson is going to be part of that. And he's probably going to be, shooting some of those shots. So definitely interested in some Keon. Getting over to shooting guard on DraftKings, Podziemski, Dunn, Irving, Vassell. We covered all of them already, so on to small forward. Bradley Beal, Cam Johnson, Jonathan Kuminga. Cam Johnson, definitely into having some of him. He is a bigger part of the offense with all these guys out. Now, I don't mind having Cam Johnson in this situation. As I mentioned, what the Spurs do with Wemby, they're anchoring that defense as they push the defense out. They make guys hit shots out wide. That is what Cameron Johnson does. He's hit, 3, 4, 5 threes in the game. He can absolutely start filling it up. And if he gets hot, the team's really going to rely on him shooting because it's going to be very hard to score inside versus Wemby. Definitely down for some Cam Johnson, but I'm not going to go super hard. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm slightly under 19%. Jonathan Kuminga, 5.6K versus the Clippers. He's likely still coming off the bench. His minutes are super variable, but I like him. He's going to pick up some added usage without good old Steph Curry, so fine going with some Kuminga. Norman Powell we covered. Wells we covered. KD 9.8K. There's enough value on the slate where I can pay up for two different spots probably. KD's been consistent without Booker around that 50 point mark. He can go for 60 plus. He's in a good spot here, so I'm fine taking some KD. I am slightly worried about his 9,800 price tag, though, because it's hard for him to get to 60, and that's really what we need here. But I will have KD. And small forward on DraftKings, we got Andrew Wiggins, 5,600, 29% owned. He has a ceiling in him this year. He's definitely playing much better this year than he was last. I'm fine taking him. There's no Curry, so more usage goes his way. However, it's not like his usage really erupts without Curry. So I like him, but I do think he's probably going a little over-owned here. Vassell, I like him. Tatum, 9,900, 23% owned. Fine going here versus the Pacers. Look, this is a spot where the Pacers have been playing really well. If they can keep up with the Celtics, I really like this spot. I really like the ceiling for Tatum. Other things to watch for is Porzingis did get hurt last game, so if he's out, that helps Tatum a bit. Also, Drew was out last game, which could also additionally help Tatum. I think there's some factors where Tatum could really, really be in a good spot today. Power forward on FanDuel, we got Trace Jackson-Davis, Cameron Johnson, Jonathan Kuminga. Trace Jackson-Davis for 5K, I can't really do it. I mean, look, his minutes have been limited all season long. It's not like he's better with Curry off the field, off the court. Hard for me to really see him playing 26 minutes a game. Tonight he gets extra minutes if he plays well. He's streaky. I would say most likely he's back to 22, 24 and just not going to get it done. Very hard for me to chase that chalk there. Cam Johnson, Jonathan Kuminga we covered. PJ Washington, 6,400. Look, there's no Luka. With no Luka, I got to get myself some PJ Washington, especially when he's in a very good spot. On our team defense tool, he is the best power forward matchup on the slate. At least I believe so. Yes, best power forward matchup on the slate. Then you add in the no Luka effect, and usage for him is just higher. I like the spot. I'm going to take some chances when he's a little under owned in my eyes. Clowney, 46, whatever. Wemby. Look, I can use him at 2 different spots. I love that. And then if we look at our team defense tool for Wemby, he's at the very top of it. The thing that I think is most interesting, he's in the best steals and block matchup on the slate. So you have a guy that really derives all his, I shouldn't say all of his fantasy scoring through the steals and blocks, but it's a huge boost to his game and to his fantasy performance. And then he's in the best steals block spot. So I think it's a very interesting take to have Wemby. Yeah, he's super high priced, but there's just that huge ceiling with it. So I'm fine taking some Wemby for sure, especially if I can put him in either power forward or center spot. KD we covered. Jeremy Sokan here. So Sohan. Interested in him for sure. He's a very good fantasy per minute producer. 1.07 over his last 20 starts, 1.10 over his last 5. And that's with Vassell and Wemby on the court. I like him. There's a very good path for him to be successful. The one thing is I probably don't want a ton of him and Wemby in the same lineup together. Kind of want just one or the other. I think it's going to be hard for him and Wemby to really coexist and both have ceiling type outcomes. But I do like Jeremy there. Power forward on DraftKings. We got Wiggins, Tatum, Durant. We have covered them all. Interested in them all. Durant's less expensive here on DraftKings, so definitely like him over here a bit more. Onto the center spot. Trace Jackson Davis we covered. I'm not going there much. Nikola Jokic, 21% owned, 12.2K. All right, so 1.72 fantasy points per minute over his last 20. He jumps up to like 1.8 without Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's out, and it's a great matchup for fantasy scoring versus the Cavs. I'm taking some Jokic. 74 versus them earlier in the season. He has 72 late last year versus them. He has 60s versus them in 2022. I think it's a great spot for Jokic with a solid ceiling. Zach Edey, 5,500. Feels a little point chasey. Yes, he just went off for 49, but he's in a super good spot versus the Pelicans and Missy here. The thing that I think is interesting is yesterday I was talking about what are his minutes going to be. If he's at 27, he's a slam. If he's at 24, probably not going to get a ton. Well, that's 27 minutes for 3 straight games now. I think we can kind of expect 26, 27 minutes from him in the spot versus the Pelicans. So I'm very interested to go here. Again, point chasey, yes, but he's in a good spot to do some fantasy goodness. So I'm going to get some of them. On to center on DraftKings. We got Jokic. We got Edey. Eddie's a little cheaper over here. Definitely still fine with him. Obviously fine with Jokic. Durant, I don't love him in the center spot, but in the power forward, I'm going to be playing some for him. Now, that'll do it for us today, guys. It was a good week. We will be back next week with more. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hope you guys win some money, and we will be back with more later. Peace!